I'm currently planning a trip to Rome, Italy for next year with my sister and her family. I've been to Italy, Rome specifically, twice before. Now, next year does mark the Jubilee year for Rome, which is a holy year for the Catholic faith. Italy is already a high tourist destination, so the Jubilee year will make it even more crowded. That is not deterring us because that can be a fantastic time to visit Italy with all of the different events going on for the Jubilee. Now, when planning a trip, I like to save money. I like to travel on a budget, and the biggest expense tends to be with flights. Now, how I like to save money is traveling in the off season or the shoulder season, so it's less expensive and less crowded. But for this trip, I'm traveling with my nephews. We have to go at a time that they're not in school, so we're going in the summer, which is the high tourist season. But if you're looking to save money, I would recommend the shoulder season, April, May, September, October, as a good time to visit. You'll find some less expensive flights. Another way that I like to save money is that I have signed up for the email subscription service with Going, where they send me emails of cheap flights and mistake fares of domestic and international flights. So that is a great way to be notified of cheap flights, so that I'm not spending most of my time every day constantly seeing if there's cheap flights. I can just wait to get an email and then decide if I want to take advantage of that cheap flight or if I want to wait to see if it goes a little bit cheaper. Since I have some certain dates in mind, I'll also set up a Google Flight Alert, and that just gives me even more emails going to my inbox of cheap flights. Since I've already mentioned we're traveling in the summer, which is a high tourism season, I'm not anticipating that the flights will be discounted that much, maybe $100 to $200 from what they're normally averaging. But I'm not necessarily anticipating that's where we're going to be saving money. The next piece that we look at for this trip is the accommodations. And we are doing a combination of Airbnbs and hotels for our accommodations. We like to look at certain amenities. So since we're traveling with a family and we want to save money, we're going to be packing carry-on only. So one amenity that we're looking for is laundry facilities. So an Airbnb that has a washing machine is going to be a priority. Also, we're looking at Airbnbs over hotels just due to having a kitchen so that we can do some grocery shopping and have some of our meals at the Airbnb instead of constantly eating out. And that is another way that we can save some money. So we're prioritizing Airbnbs, but there are some benefits to a hotel. And at the end of our trip, we will be staying at a hotel. Hotels can offer you breakfast in the morning, the 24-hour front desk, the concierge service. They have some amenities of their own that you can't get with an Airbnb. So it kind of just depends on what you're looking for and what your needs are of what would be a good route for accommodations for you. Because next year is going to be a Jubilee year, we started booking our accommodations now. We have just this week booked all of our Airbnbs and hotels as our first things that we have booked for this trip over flights. We wanted to make sure that the Airbnbs that we were looking at were available, so we booked those sooner rather than later as the first thing that we booked. But again, if you're prioritizing flights, you'll want to let the flights dictate your dates, and then you'll book your accommodations after that. The third area that we're looking at planning ahead of time is transportation. Now, Rome is very well connected with its metro, along with all the sites being very close within walking distance of each other. So we are planning on predominantly walking and utilizing the metro system. But before I really get too far into trip planning, I do like to familiarize myself with the transportation options from the airport to the city center. And Rome has three main transportation options. The first one is with their white taxis, the official taxi. You can get a fixed rate from the airport to the city center with a white taxi. So anything within the Aurelian Wall border, which is the historic city center, will be a fixed rate from the airport. If your accommodations are outside of that border, then it is no longer part of the fixed rate and you may incur additional fees or fares with that taxi, so kind of keep that in mind. The second option would be using the train, so taking the train from the airport to Roma Termini train station, which is the main train station in the historic city center. While there are so many trains, you'll want to specifically look at the Leonardo Express train. It is the direct train from the airport to the Roma Termini train station. It is currently 14 euros and it's about a 30 to 35 minute train ride. Like I said, direct. It's the one that I typically do most often when I visit Rome. It's the easiest and kind of the most affordable for the time you spend traveling. The third option is you can look at taking the bus. It is the cheapest, but with its multiple stops, it's not always the most time efficient. So I highly recommend utilizing the Leonardo Express. Now, the fun part of actually planning the things to see and do. So because this is a Jubilee year with pilgrims coming from all over the world, that means that a lot of religious sites such as the Vatican, basilicas, churches, and the Holy Stairs are probably going to be the sites that are going to be the most overcrowded. Since my nephews are really into ancient Rome, the key site that we're looking at visiting is the Coliseum. So I have some tips for visiting the Coliseum. I like booking directly with the Coliseum website instead of third-party resellers, because you can guarantee the tickets that you are getting are from the official website. So there are many different types of tickets. You can get the standard, you can get the underground tour of the Coliseum, the night tour, many different types of tickets. The Coliseum will publish their tickets up to 30 days in advance. So we haven't purchased our tickets quite yet, but we'll look at soon as the 30-day mark opens up, we'll be purchasing our tickets. Now, to save money, we're not looking at doing a guided tour of the Coliseum. Rick Steve has some great audio guides for free that we're just going to download so that we can listen to some key information of the Coliseum. And especially since we have kids, my nephews traveling with us, we're not bound to sticking with a tour guide if the boys are getting kind of tired or if they want to see something else that the tour is currently not focusing on. We have the flexibility to kind of go where we want within the Coliseum. And if we do want to get some more information on what we're looking at, like I said, Rick Steves has some great audio guides that can give you that supplemental information. Now, if you are one that likes to do a tour guide through a third-party reseller, some things to note is that those third-party resellers are getting tickets through the official website alongside with the general public. If you are looking at a specialty tour, the underground or the nighttime visit, and you're going through a third-party reseller with the tour option, there may be a chance of your tour being canceled because those are popular ticket requests. The company that you're going through may not be able to purchase the tickets right when they become available. They may sell out since they are purchasing at the same time the general public. But if you're getting a third-party reseller tour of a standard ticket and you're not doing the underground or the nighttime visit, those usually have plenty of tickets, so the likelihood of your tour being canceled is slim to none. But all of that to say, that is why I like to book directly with the site instead of going through a third-party company. That's not to say that I don't go through other third parties for other tours. So tours that do not require an entry ticket to a site, so like a food tour, a ghost tour, a historic walking tour, I will go through Get Your Guide and Viator. Those are the two that I most commonly use for my tours. No problem. The likelihood of those tours being canceled, slim to none. But if you're going through a third-party reseller that requires an entry ticket into a site like the Coliseum, just be aware there might be a small chance that your tour is canceled if they aren't able to get the actual tickets. And then speaking of other tours, I've mentioned this in previous videos, but one tour that we are looking at the first day of our trip is a food tour. I love doing food tours in other cities just so that you can experience the local cuisine. We don't have to think about where are we going to eat, what are we going to see or do. It's kind of all combined for you. The food, history, and you kind of get a lay of the land. You start familiarizing yourself with the neighborhood that you're walking around, with kind of the sites, what's going on. Just gets you acclimated to everything by doing a food tour kind of the first thing on your first day of your trip. So in addition to exploring Rome, we're also looking at doing a day trip from Rome. There are so many different day trips that you can look at doing. You can plan your own, so take a fast train. Italy has some great fast train options, so go to Roma Termini train station, hop on the fast train, and go to Florence, go to Naples. You can kind of plan that out yourself, or you can do kind of a pre-planned itinerary with a tour guide. So either using Get Your Guide or Viator, which is the option that we're looking at doing a day trip to the Amalfi Coast so we can see some lemons the size of your head, so explore Lemon Garden, see the sea, explore the Amalfi Coast. I'm really excited about that. And then the end of our trip, we are looking at traveling to one of the islands off of Italy. More to come on that, so I won't spoil which one we end up choosing, but I'm so excited on looking at that. In planning for a trip next year, it's important to kind of start early and consider your time of year that you want to go. If saving money on flights or booking your accommodations first or the route to go would be my recommendation, and book directly with the sites that you are looking at seeing. It's also important to note that some sites are closed, some museums are closed on Monday, so looking ahead at the open and closed times of the major sites that you want to visit can also help determine your dates. One great resource for Rome specifically that I like to utilize a lot is romewise.com. Lisa also has a YouTube channel where she is giving you some great YouTube videos on advice visiting Rome, so check her out. But those are some of my tips and tricks and what I'm looking at when I'm planning my trip to Rome and Italy. Let me know in the comments down below if you're making a trip next year. Have you already started booking your flights and accommodations yet? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao for now.